I woke up screaming on my bedroom floor, with my mattress tilted and the lamp smashed beside me. My throat burned, and my phone was cracked in my hand, like I had been gripping it all night. The last thing on the screen was a voice memo recorded at 3:17 a.m. in my own voice, saying I finally understood. I did not remember recording it, and I did not remember leaving the bed. I sat there listening to the refrigerator hum from the kitchen and noticed my bedroom door was wide open. That is when I realized this did not start tonight. It started 3 weeks earlier, when I moved into the apartment above the closed daycare. The place was cheap and clean, and too quiet for a city building. On the first night, I slept straight through without dreams. On the second night, I woke up to my phone alarm ringing even though it was set for the morning. The alarm history showed it had gone off at 2:11 a.m. and been turned off manually. I live alone, and no one has my code. I blamed stress and work and went on with my days. By the fourth night, I started finding small changes in the apartment. A chair would be pulled back from the table. The bathroom mirror would be wiped clean even though I had not touched it. My shoes would be lined up by the door instead of kicked off like I always do. I began taking pictures before bed as proof. Each morning, I compared them, and each morning something was different. One night, the hallway light was on in the photo and off when I woke up. Another night, the stove clock showed a different time than my phone. I stopped taking sleep medication and cut out caffeine. The changes continued. I started leaving notes for myself on the kitchen counter. One said, "Remember to lock the bedroom door." I found it folded neatly under my keys the next morning. Another note said, "Do not record anything again." That one was torn in half when I woke up. I checked the locks and windows every night and set my phone to record audio while I slept. The first recording was just static and distant building noise. The second recording had footsteps pacing slowly across the living room at exactly 3:00 a.m. The third recording ended abruptly with a sound like my phone being set down on a hard surface. I began sleeping with the lights on and the bedroom door locked. I pushed a chair against the door handle and felt ridiculous doing it. On the seventh night, the chair was placed back against the wall when I woke up. The door was unlocked and wide open. My phone was charging in the kitchen, even though I had taken it to bed. That morning, I found fingerprints on the inside of my bedroom door at shoulder height. They were mine. I took a day off work and stayed inside to see if anything happened while I was awake. Nothing moved and nothing changed. The silence felt heavier during the day than it did at night. I checked my phone storage and found several video files dated between 2:50 and 3:30 a.m. I did not remember recording any of them. The first video showed my living room filmed from the corner near the ceiling, like the phone had been placed on a shelf. The second video showed my bedroom door from the hallway side. The third video showed my face inches from the camera, with my eyes open and unfocused. I was not blinking. I deleted the videos and immediately felt like I had made a mistake. That night, I taped the bedroom door shut and wedged the dresser against it. I placed my phone face down on the nightstand and turned it off completely. I remember closing my eyes and counting my breaths. The next thing I remember is standing in the hallway with my bare feet on the cold tile. The tape was peeled off cleanly and stacked on the counter. The dresser was back, in place like it had never been moved. My phone was in my hand and turned on. The screen showed the recording app open and the timer running. I set the phone down and walked back to bed without thinking. When I woke up the next morning, my feet were dirty and my legs were sore. I replayed the recording and heard myself moving through the apartment. I opened cabinets and drawers. I dragged a chair across the floor. I stopped in front of the bathroom mirror for a long time. Then I spoke clearly and slowly, like I was explaining something important. I said it was closer now and that it used the quiet. I said the building helped it because nothing here remembered being loud. I said the daycare never closed properly. I had no memory of saying any of this. I searched the building records and learned the daycare shut down suddenly years ago after parents complained about children waking up screaming during nap time. There were no reports and no investigations. The place had simply closed. That night, I stayed awake until my eyes burned. At 3:12 a.m., my kitchen light turned on by itself. I stood in the doorway, watching it without moving. My phone vibrated in my pocket. A new voice memo appeared on the screen. It was recording. I did not touch it. I watched the timer climb as something moved in the apartment without making noise. A chair slid back from the table. The bathroom door opened slowly. I stayed where I was and waited for it to stop. The recording ended on its own. I did not sleep. The next morning, I listened to the memo and heard myself breathing calmly. I described where everything was in the apartment, as if reading a map. I said it knew the layout now. I said tonight would be the last night it needed me awake. I packed a bag and planned to leave before sunset. While folding clothes, I found my phone under a stack of shirts. I had already checked the bedroom, and I knew I did not put it there. The screen lit up with a notification reminding me to record at 3:00 a.m. I smashed the phone against the wall and watched it break. I left the apartment and sat in my car until it was dark. At 2:45 a.m., my car alarm went off. I shut it off and drove back upstairs without understanding why. The apartment door was unlocked. Inside, everything was exactly where it should be. A new phone sat on the kitchen table, plugged into the charger. I picked it up, and it unlocked with my face. The recording app was already open. I set the phone down and backed away. The bathroom light turned on. I stood frozen as the mirror began to fog, even though no water was running. Words appeared slowly, as if traced by a finger. They listed times and dates, going back weeks. Each one matched a night I had woken up confused. At the bottom it said practice is complete. The bedroom door slammed shut behind me. I ran to it and found it locked. My reflection in the mirror behind me was smiling, but my face felt still. The phone began recording on its own. I heard movement in the ceiling, like something shifting position. The lights flickered once and stayed on. I sat on the floor and waited for morning. When I woke up, I was screaming on the floor with the mattress overturned and the lamp shattered. The phone was in my hand. I listened to the last recording. My voice explained calmly that the apartment needed a guide. It needed someone who could move through walls that remembered children sleeping. It needed someone who could wake up without waking anyone else. I said it learned from watching me and walking with me at night. I said it could not leave until it knew how to open doors on its own. I said tonight was the test. I said I would wake up screaming, so I would remember. I said remembering was the final step. I stopped the recording and looked around the apartment. The hallway was quieter than it had ever been. The kitchen light was off. The bathroom mirror was clean. The front door was open. I walked to it and stepped into the hallway. The building felt different. The silence was no longer empty. It was waiting. I went downstairs and heard movement below the closed daycare. The door at the end of the hall was open for the first time since I moved in. Inside, the rooms were bare, except for rows of small mats on the floor. The air smelled like disinfectant and dust. I heard footsteps behind me, matching my pace exactly. I did not turn around. The phone in my hand began recording again. I spoke without choosing the words. I explained how to move quietly and where to stand. I described how to wait until the building slept. I described how to listen for breathing through walls. I described how to follow it without being seen. The footsteps stopped when I finished. The phone screen went dark. I was alone in the room. When I returned to my apartment, the door closed behind me and locked itself. The bedroom was untouched. The bed was neatly made. I lay down and closed my eyes. I woke up in the morning in my bed for the first time in weeks. There were no new recordings on my phone. There were no changes in the apartment. That night, I slept through without waking. On the second night, I slept through again. On the third night, I woke up briefly at 3:17 a.m. to the sound of a door opening somewhere in the building. I did not move. I did not record. I did not get up. The sound faded and the building settled. In the morning, I found a note on my kitchen counter written in my handwriting. It said, "Thank you for teaching me." I tore it up and threw it away. That night, I slept without interruption. The following week, new families moved into the building. I hear footsteps at night, sometimes, that do not belong to me. I hear doors open and close softly. I do not check the time anymore. I do not record anything. I know it does not need me now. I know it learned enough. I know because I wake up every morning in my bed, and the apartment is always exactly the same. I know because sometimes when I pass the closed daycare, I hear nothing at all.